We're now looking at question 2 on the mini test 1. If 11 candy bars cost $19.80, what is the cost of 8 candy bars? There are 2 ways of doing it. The first way is that we calculate the unit price first. The unit price can be calculated by dividing $19.80 by 11. Which gives us 1.8 $1.80. And now we're going to calculate the cost for 8 candy bars, which is so we're multiplying the unit price by 8. Which gives us $14.40. That was method 1. I do have a second method that I prefer you to use, which is equivalent fraction. So we're writing 2 fractions on both sides of the equal sign and make sure both of them represent the unit price of the candy bar. On the left, we have 19.8 divided by 11, and on the right, I have 8 candy bars, and then my price is X dollars. Doing cross multiplication, 11 times X equals to 19.8 times 8. X equals to this number divided by 11, which also gave us $14.40. So the answer is now let's have a look at question 4 on the mini test. Which ratio is equal to 15 to 20? Is it 5 to 10? Is it 18 to 25? Is it 21 to 28? Or is it 24 to 30? Now the key to this kind of questions is to make every single ratio to its simplified version. So we're going to start it by simplifying 15 to 20. We know the ratio is simply a comparison of 2 quantities, so if we divide both quantities by the same number, the ratio is going to stay the same, and that's how we simplify the ratios. So think about what is the highest common factor between 15 and 20. Yes, it's 5. So I'm going to divide both quantities by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. And that is the most simplified version for this ratio. Next, we're going to simplify each ratio and then compare it to see if they are equal to 3 to 4. So let's start it from 5 to 10. Again, the highest common factor is 5. So I'm going to divide both quantities by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So the most simplified version of this ratio is 1 to 2, which is not equal to 3 to 4. Therefore, this option is incorrect. Let's have a look at the second one. 18 to 25. Have a look and think for a second. Is there a highest common factor between 18 and 25? No, there is no highest common factor between 18 and 25. Therefore, it's already the most simplified version of the ratio, which is not equal to 3 to 4, and therefore this option is incorrect as well. Next one, 21 to 28. What is the highest common factor between 21 and 28? It's 7. So I'm going to divide both quantities by 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 28 divided by 7 is 4. And that is equal to 3 to 4. So this option is correct. The ratio 21 to 28 is equal to 15 to 20. Let's have a look at the last one. 24 to 30. What is the highest common factor between 24 and 30? Yes, it's 6. So I'm going to divide both quantities by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And 30 divided by 6 is 5. So the most simplified version of the ratio is 4 to 5, which is not equal to 3 to 5, and therefore this option is incorrect. The answer is 21 to 28. Let's have a look at question 7 on mini test 1. The scale on the map is 1 centimeters to 5 kilometers. What distance does 3.5 centimeters represent? Quick revision, what is the definition of scale? It is comparing the length of drawing on the map to the length in reality. Now you can write the scale as a ratio as they did in the question, or you can write it as a fraction. I'm going to solve it using equivalent fractions, so I'm going to write it as a fraction here. 1 centimeters on the map to 5 kilometers in reality. And that is equal to, I'm going to make an equivalent fraction, comparing it with 3.5 centimeters with x kilometers. I want to know what distance does 3.5 centimeters represent in reality. Because we have an equivalent fraction, we are going to use cross multiplication. Some of you might think, wait, don't we need to convert the unit first? I want you to think for a second here. Is it necessary to convert the unit here? No, it's not necessary because we have both centimeters to kilometers on both sides. And because this is a fraction or a ratio, they have the same relationships anyway. So all we need to do is 3.5 times 5 equals x times 1, which is still x, which gives us x equals to 17.5. I multiply 3.5 by 5. And the unit is kilometers. So very quickly we know the answer is 17.5 kilometers. Let's have a look at question 8 on the mini test 1. in a village of 121,000 people, the ratio of men to women is 6 to 5. You're asked to find the number of men to women. Now, this is a typical question that is asking you to divide a quantity, which in this case is 121,000, into a given ratio, which is 6 to 5. This means you're dividing the quantity 121,000 into 6 parts and 5 parts. So how many total parts do we have to divide it into? 6 plus 5 equals 11 parts. So there are 11 parts. The first step is that I'll literally write 1 part is equal to dividing 121,000 by 11, which is 11,000. That is how many people there are in each part. Now, I'm going to find out the number of men in the village. We know that the number of men in the village is 6 parts of this. So I'm going to find out how many people are there in 6 parts. I'm going to do 6 times how many people there are in 1 part, 6 times 11,000, which gives me 66,000. And this is the number of men in the village. Next, I'm going to find out how many people there are in 5 parts. Again, multiplying 5 by 11,000, which gives me 55,000. And that is the number of women in the village. Now we're looking at question 10 on the mini test 1. Dianne buys a house for $180,000 and renovates it. She sells it many years later for a profit of 40%. It is asking you how much is the selling price of the house. Now this question is asking you to calculate the percentage increase. So we are going to increase the amount by 40%. First step, we're going to calculate the profit. Is $180,000 times 40%, which is $180,000 times 40 out of 100. Calculate yourself first. We get the profit is $72,000. Now we get the profit, we can calculate the selling price, which is the price that Dianne paid for the house, $180,000, plus the profit that she made by selling the house. Therefore, the selling price is $252,000.